Okay, man. Yeah, what's up? And welcome to the Leadership Academy, part 6. So I'm having water, and I'm just really excited to come in, man, and do this. I wanted to do this for such a long time, and I've just these are some thoughts that have so inspired me, and just let's jump into that, man. Today I want to do the E-Myth revisited. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed this book, and it's something that I've read before, and I decided to come in and do like a thorough like review of some of my thoughts. I really enjoyed the last book I did this style. So doing it on Google Doc instead of doing it on Notion, and waiting until I have all my notes ready for me to come in and start doing it. Maybe I should increase the zoom just just slightly. Maybe I should. Yeah, that's zoom is good enough. I guess it should be good enough for. Let me hide that. Should have thought about all these things before I started recording. And please hide. Good. All right. Good. Good. That's so much better now. Okay. So the image revisited: why most businesses don't work and what to do about it. I want to say that this book came into my life when I needed it the most, and it totally transformed how I've thought about just life and business. And I went back and I was rereading it in the beginning of the year. I had thought of rereading it and doing a review because just a lot of the thoughts from the book influenced me a lot. So when I reread it, I was so profound. And these are notes I sent to myself about 2 years ago, and that's a long time ago. But I believe some of these type of books, like the A Myth, and books that encourage you to change your habit, the things that you live with and the things that you change how you think about them as you go through the process, as you learn more, as you interact with life, and as you prove to yourself that the author was right. So let's just get into it, man. So I'll follow the same model that I used from the other book review, where I would just go ahead and just like take a bunch of highlights that I sent from the like these are pullouts from the book, and I would talk about these quotes and what they mean to me. So yeah, it starts with the entrepreneurial myth, and yeah, I think I should have highlighted this because it's a good place to start this conversation. The real tragedy is when the technician falls prey to the fatal assumption the business was supposed to free him from the limitations of working from somebody else. Actually, enslaves him. Suddenly, the job he knew how to do so well becomes a prison. And so, this idea that most small businesses are started by technicians, and that's the reason why in fact this book is so profound to me, because coming from a creative type background, doing photography, doing graphics, doing video work, and trying to move into business and really like just suffering and facing the struggle of the suffering, was because I had these skills and I wanted to turn them into a business. And it was the first fatal assumption that the business is supposed to free me for working for somebody else, and it was a slavery. So I was so frustrated, man. Let's go to the next one. An entrepreneur does the work of envisioning the business as apart from you, the owner. Now, let's just move on from that. I don't know what else to say about that. I might come back to it. I wonder what the business will be, said Sarah. Is the truly entrepreneurial question, the dreaming question. I call it the question that is at the heart of the work of an entrepreneur. I wonder, I wonder, I wonder. And so I really remember reading this book and getting so mind blown, because the author was trying to teach you that the real work of an entrepreneur is not to do the work in the business, but to imagine it. And I think it's such a different way of thinking about business and how to think about life and how to think about anything, that the, that if you're not taught, it's just not obvious to you. So here the author is telling Sarah, who is our small business owner in the story, that I wonder is the question of the entrepreneur. I call it future work. I wonder is the true work of the entrepreneurial personality. It's okay to dream about the future and to imagine how the future would be. Anything less than that will eventually push you to the brink of disaster and finally over the edge. And I don't know why it wasn't a complete quote here. So yeah, that's whatever. It is self-evident that businesses, like people, are supposed to grow, and with growth comes change. And so they start. So they started talking about stages. And so chapter 3 is infancy, and then there's going to be adolescence, and then there's going to be maturity. So it starts with the infancy, the technician's phase, so that the owner wants supposed to what the business needs. Because while you're working, while you're answering the telephone, while you're baking pies, while you're cleaning the windows and the floors, while you're doing it, there's something much more that isn't getting done. And it's the work you're not doing, the strategic work, the entrepreneurial work that will lead your business forward, that will give you the life you've always wanted. Now, I remember reading this and I had just highlighted it because it was so profound. It was such a different way of thinking. And the author was suggesting something so crazy to me, that you're not supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing the strategic or the entrepreneurial work. I'm just saying, so it's now I'm doing this in 2022, this was 2019. Right now, I believe in this, right? I believe that the entrepreneur should be doing the strategic or the entrepreneurial work. But since when I read this, I did not believe it was true. Here's another highlight. There's some things that I will be talking about more, others not so much. So yeah, yeah. So don't you see? If your business depends on you, you don't own a business. You have a job, and it's the worst job in the world because you're working for a lunatic. Because you're so disorganized, you lack communication, you have no formal processes, so it's going to be the worst job ever. And man, this is so important to understand this. All right. Here's another fascinating quote that I got in 2 years later, but it just made so much sense to me when I was going through these notes a few um, like last month. So the purpose of going into business is to get free of a job so that you can create jobs for other people. And let me go to the next one. Because the moment you chose to start a small business, Sarah, you unwittingly chose to play a significantly larger game than any game you have ever played before. Man, this thought is especially so profound to me because I finally do believe in this, that to start a small. So the concept that is the preface of this book and the premise also of this book is that 85% of all small businesses fail within the first 5 years. All right, like all of them within the first 5 years they fail. And that's a tough question, or a tough statistic to to wrap around your head. That means if you start your business today, you have more odds of failing than succeeding. It would take a tremendous amount of effort and luck and and just like hard work for you to actually succeed, but you are highly likely to fail. And then the question poses, if this is true, why is it that a lot of small businesses still get started and they still fail? It's crazy, and the author is so concerned. You guys are going to start businesses, like he's going to close his eyes and there's going to be 1,000 new small businesses registered, maybe like in this month, and within 5 years only 150 of those businesses would be still in existence. Yeah, I think that is so crazy. And so he tells Sarah that the moment you chose to start a small business, you chose to play a significantly larger game than the one you've ever played before. Before, you're a technician. Before, she was a bake of pies. Before, I was a photographer. Before, I was just a graphic designer. But the moment I chose to start a small big business, I chose to play a significantly larger game than any game I ever played before. It's a new space that requires new thinking, requires new skills, requires me to show up significantly differently than before. And going back to the other previous one, so the purpose of going into business is to get free of a job so that you can create jobs for other people. And the idea was, so most technicians just hire themselves and they go to get a job working for themselves, right? But they say if you start a business, no, 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 no. You no longer are, you're no longer going for jobs. You're now going to create jobs. I remember back in the day, the reason why this idea um, really never sat well with me, because I still, so like I said, I was a photographer, designer, and I used to make videos. So I was in the creative arts, and one of my sole purposes in life was to, for me, to like do creative work. So when I think that I'm going to hire a bunch of people to do the same creative work that I want to do, I'm like, yo, that's it's hustling backwards. I need to create a business that allows me to do more of the things that I want to do. But this new thinking says, no, 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 no. If you start a business, you go ahead and do less of that creative things and allow other people to do more of the things that you're supposed to do. Or else, don't start a business. Just I guess struggle, whatever. Be a freelancer, but do not start a business. So so he says, so whether we like it or not, we have to learn how. We have to learn how businesses work. We have to learn how to run a business. We have to learn how business systems work, marketing systems work. We have to learn how like the market is, and it's something we have to do. So they move from the infancy and then to the adolescence phase, right? And the so here, I think the quote was management by abdication rather than delegation, and he was talking about a story of normally the lifestyle of a small business. Before it fails, it would start and the technician would work, and a lot of work would start coming in. So they would start hiring someone else, but instead of delegating work, they would abdicate to say, hey, I'm looking for X. I say I'm looking for a graphic designer, and I'll just let them be the graphic designer. I won't delegate work to them. I wouldn't train them, give them no systems at all. I would abdicate, and eventually they would leave me, and eventually I would lose my mind. I mean, I think this is so true. This works ever. Even some of my designer friends who've worked for people, and those people felt so relieved that this designer friends were working for them, ended up leaving them. I've worked for people, ended up leaving, and because I was just like, hey, karibu sana, yeah, here's a computer, get started. And eventually I left and they felt betrayed or whatever. I would feel betrayed if this happened, because people manage by abdication rather than by delegation. And it's very important to understand this difference as you start to get into business. What you want is to delegate and not to just abdicate duties. I thought that was very profound, also a very different way of me thinking, starting to think about a delegation and all that. And this statement here says, because true trust comes from knowing, not blind faith. Man, I remember, um, like, one of the things that I think is profound, the way this book is for me, um, is that a lot of these books, I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I reviewed in chapter 5 of the Leadership Academy. And I just talked about how the author is encouraging you to use your mind, is encouraging you to be aware of how you feel, of what is true, and not to hide under a rock, and not to just like show up in life without actually taking responsibility. So he says true trust comes from knowing, not blind faith. Knowing, you have to be aware, you have to know. And to know, one must understand. And to understand, one must have an intimate awareness of what conditions are truly present. Like you don't want to lie to yourself, man. You don't want to lie to yourself about finances, about your balance sheet, about your customers, about how much work is coming in, how much work is not coming in, how soon you're going to go bankrupt. You have to be totally aware and present. So I thought that was very profound. Um, that now when you start really knowing and you start pursuing knowing, you move, you start pursuing clarity. If I know I don't know how to manage a business, I have to come face to face with that reality and go hardcore seeking that knowledge. All right. So, so the true question is not how a small business should be, but how big. How big can your business naturally become, with the operative word being naturally? This is a question that is posed in the book. That the true question is not how small a business should be, but how big. So when I set out, for example, to start my studio, my creative business, my agency, so the question isn't how bespoke and how small this agency could be, but how big. How big can your business naturally become, with the operative word being naturally? And honestly, with no systems, nothing, maybe like a one person agency forever, bro. And just like a small percentage of like the AGI, and that would suck, right? So simply put, your job is to prepare yourself and your business for growth. Ah, so let's just calm down and think about the implications of these words. We have established that the real reason for having a business is not for you to go and create more creative work, but the reason for you to create a business is to hire people, is to employ people, and to see how big it could be. Therefore, your job as an entrepreneur is to prepare yourself and your business for growth. That means, as an entrepreneur, then you go to work on yourself and then on your business. It's very strange, because this means then you're going to have to, in my opinion, according to how I've understood this, concern yourself with areas of growth, ideas of education, personal development, tracking that every single day, being on a leadership academy like this, learning every day. You're going to concern yourself heavily with those ideas of personal growth, and also for business to grow. What systems are required to be there? So it also means that a part, it builds in our mind. So one of the jobs that you have is to just like to do the thinking work, and the second job is to learn. And that sounds fun for me, because I like I like the learning thing, I like the curiosity thing. Look at this. It is up to you to dictate your business's rate of growth as best as you can, by understanding the key processes that need to be performed, key objectives that need to be achieved, key position you're aiming your business to hold in the marketplace. So you need to have clarity of everything around your business, and you need to understand what is supposed to be in your business for your business to succeed. That means, again, if you have no knowledge of like just like common, I don't know, I guess common business processes, you're going to have to learn. If you don't know marketing, if you don't know sales, if you don't know management, if you don't know human resources, you're going to have to learn it. And so it starts becoming a very serious process, that it happens. And I'm not sure, um, maybe I caught it, and maybe I'll get to it. I'll get to it somewhere. But I just remembered something from the book, but I don't want to preempt So I hope I'll remember to say that. So people know, so I guess it was like what people know and what people don't, what people do and what people don't, what people want and what people don't, how people do what they do and how people don't, what people are and who people aren't. The idea here was clarity. You want clarity, clarity, clarity on every area of your business. So you ask the hard questions and you pursue those answers and you come up with those answers and you do whatever you need to do with those answers, right? But to do that requires intention. This is what I wanted to say at the outset of the business: entrepreneurial intention as well as a willingness. No, a true passion for the personal transformation. Such a process will call for accessing new skills, new understanding, new knowledge, new emotional depth, and new wisdom. And I'll read that again. But I remember from the book, they tell a story, I think, around this area about the man who started IBM computers. And the story was he was later on in life asked, how did IBM International Business Machines become such a huge corporation? And he answered, the reason it became a big business is because it was designed from the onset to become a big business. And and they were doing the work and showing up as a big business and doing those things that a big business would do. And they were showing up with who they want to be. And that story, when I reread it, it was just so profound in thinking, and it got me down this rabbit hole of thinking and of imagination that there are people in life who start businesses like that. They're like, okay, fine, so I want to start um, computer business, a computer factory, and you want to manufacture computers for everyone in the world, right? And what market share could we possibly go for? What would that take? What kind of processes do we need to have? How much capital would that take? How long do we think we could attack that market? And I think these are just like very huge questions that this type of entrepreneurs start having, um, with the ones that get to do big business. But then you have to have a true passion for the transformation such a process will call for accessing new skills, new understanding, new knowledge, new emotional depth, new wisdom. You have to dive deep into extracting everything that it will give you, the teachings, the lessons it will give you. For me, this just gives me a lot of comfort and faith, that pursuing this knowledge, reading these books, attending these seminars, attending these classes, um, processing this information, um, it is the process that unlocks the big business mindset in me, you know. And yeah, so to educate yourself sufficiently so that as your business grows, the business's foundation and structure can carry the additional weight. So you want to educate yourself sufficiently, man. You want to read books, you want to read about the marketplace, you want to listen to market leaders, you want to understand all the dynamics of your business, of the marketplace, of just like general best practices in the world of work, such as the business's foundation and the structure can carry the additional weight. And beyond the comfort zone, same questions. These questions are powerful. They just trigger your mind to start thinking, where do I wish to be? When do I wish to be there? How much capital will that take? How many people doing what work and how? What technology will be required? How large a space will be needed at benchmark 1, at benchmark 2, at benchmark 3? And so it is a process of exploring this question to the wherever it will lead you, finding clarity of where how you're going to get wherever you're going to get, and then pursuing that. And she says that if you don't articulate it, and I mean write it down clearly so that others can understand it, you don't own it. And so this is another lesson in articulation. And I think I am learning this. Was very afraid. I didn't even know this how business people operate. But then CEOs have to articulate whatever they want to do, where they want to go, and they have to share with their teams. All right. It has to be such a clear vision. Everyone understands how the business works. Everyone understands the role they are playing. Everyone understands whatever is happening. And but if you don't do that, you don't own it. That's beyond the comfort zone. And then they move into chapter 6, and so they've um, shown you the infancy, the adolescence, how to move beyond the comfort zone, and then now they tell you about maturity and the entrepreneurial perspective. And understanding how those chapters kind of follow each other is important because it shows you that there's going to be some level of growth that is expected of you as the business owner. So, maturity. So, what we must do instead is to provide our inner entrepreneur with a model of business that works, a model that is so exciting that it stimulates our entrepreneurial personality, our innovative side, to break free of the technician's bonds once and for all. I think the previous statement before this was that you cannot teach a technician like um, entrepreneurship, something like that. But you can't really change a technician. But what you must do is to provide your inner entrepreneur with a model of business that works. So that means you already have one thing, but you have an inner entrepreneur. So you want to provide him with the context of what they need to start working on so that they can break free from being a technician to being an entrepreneur. And it answers the question, so what do I do? I really don't know anything about business. Like, fine, it's okay. You don't really need to change. But what you need to do is to provide, because everybody has an entrepreneur inside them, to provide them with a model of a business that works so that they can see such a reality that they're willing to break that bond and become entrepreneurs. Yeah. So because yeah, whatever, man. As the turnkey revolution. So after that, after he's already uh, drawn this picture of the problem uh, that the technician goes through and the process the technician goes through all the way from infancy to maturity. He tells the story of the turnkey revolution. And the turnkey revolution is a great, great chapter in the book. It changes how your mind starts seeing a small business because it shows you a model of a small business that has become one of the biggest franchises in the world. And he talks about the McDonald's. And here are a few quotes. So, a systems dependent business, not a people dependent business. A business that could work without him. And he was saying that, I think, was saying about that the person designed the business to work without him. And it is in this chapter of the turnkey revolution that the author describes the process that the person who created this turnkey revolution went through. The person was very um, um, determined from the onset to create a business that would work without them. All right? So, it's, and he says that the true product of a business is the business itself. So then that shows you, it tries to paint a picture that a real entrepreneur thinks about the business as a product, right? And if I could use an analogy from art, is that artists create art, right? They create a complete piece of art. Could be a painting, could be a beautiful music, um, um, composition, or like a song, right? Or a sculpture. That's what artists create, but entrepreneurs create businesses. So when an entrepreneur goes working on a business, the product is the business. Predictable business. It's fascinating. These ideas. especially now. So if we join together our thoughts, we say that the entrepreneur's work is to create a job for other people. So the entrepreneur's job is to build a business, right? The entrepreneur's job is not to go ahead and create a bunch of cool graphics, a bunch of cool videos, a bunch of hot websites, but to create a business that works. So the franchise prototype. So the franchise prototype, he it's exactly what now I'm explaining. So the system runs the business and the people run the system. And it was a beautiful, just like a beautiful explanation of this idea of a systems run business where you design a business, um, like right now, and then this business is going to be run by other people, um, um, who run this system. The system isn't something you bring to the business, it's something you derive from the process of building the business. So this was this was fascinating to think about, because like the reason why I think it is so profound and it's different when you when you follow the logic of what you want to do is to create a system or a business that works. You think that, okay, fine, I'm going to sit down and like build this business like on a Word document, and then I'm going to deploy it. No, no, no. But it's this system, you get it from building the business. So, and then later on, he's going to describe how to build the business. But then the system comes out of it really by testing things. And I think he talks about innovation, quantification, and orchestration. And maybe not to preempt myself, but those ideas are thinking of how something can be done better, and then measuring which is the best way or the best system to do something, and then making that thing like the official way to do something, so you orchestrate into it. So it has to be measured, and it has to be a process of iteration as you build in the system of your business. So that means you actually have to be in business for you to to build this process of a business. So it's, again, it's a fun process that you want to be doing every day, and when it finally works, it works. So it is it is a proprietary way of doing business that successfully and preferentially differentiates every extraordinary business from one of its competitors. So this is also something I have just thought about it slightly differently lately, because I need to explain that this book for me is such an evolution, and every time I read it, I see it a little bit differently. I see a bunch of things that I didn't see before. So, for example, this is just like a totally off the cuff example. I've been working on my business, which is Croc Studio. This is my baby. It's something I've wanted to bring to the world for a long time, and I've been bringing in, and it's actually in the world. Um, but I, how can I say it? I have been also listening and learning from other business leaders in the world of agency, and they talk about this idea of niching down. They talk about this idea of serving one particular customer. So if you serve one particular customer, just one particular customer, you're going to have a way to market for that to that particular customer, and you're going to charm that particular customer. But most times in industry, in the agency world, most agencies want to be like a general practitioner agency, right? But the way to build a business that works is you pick either a niche or like an industry or a problem that you solve, or or, um, or something specific that you bring in the marketplace, and you innovate around that, and you find people to solve for that. So it is a proprietary way of doing business that successfully and preferentially differentiates every extraordinary business from every one of its competitors. There are going to be so many people in the marketplace, but you're going to differentiate yourself and really just pick one area that you do so well that they can't do and they cannot compete. Right? And so these questions are this type of thinking is so strange and so amazing, and like something I never thought about. Just you want to eliminate the competition. That's something also that Peter Thiel says in the book Zero to One, that you want to move into an area where there's no competition. Like competition is for losers, and when you jump into the world of competition, you are a loser, man. And it just never, in fact, even just that insight just dropped in my spirit right now. But the concept of competition being for losers is that you see a gigantic marketplace. Let's say something like transportation in Bungoma, in Nairobi, in Kenya. Sorry, transportation industry, and there's matatus and matatus that move from Bungoma to Nairobi, and you say, I'm gonna get into transportation, and you just jump into it because you think that's a business. But this concept of building a business that works says that no, 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 that's wrong. How can you identify a way that you're going to preferentially differentiate from every external business and just target one, um, maybe one customer, or do something so well that you're not even like in competition? For example, something like Easy Coach. We were talking about transportation. I think Easy Coach in Kenya have done this so well, such that they've just like different. Like you could think that they are part of the players in the industry, but they save one particular type of person. They do it very very well, and you cannot even compare them because they have a type of bus that looks almost the same, and so and they work a certain type of way, and that's just it. And I think that's fascinating. I honestly think that's just so fascinating, right? All right. Right, so after explaining the franchise prototype, we move into the next chapter. I think it's the next chapter, that's working on your business and not in it. Right? And so in this chapter, they say the problem isn't your business, it has never been. The problem is you. So if we come from just thinking about all the possibilities that can exist in your business, they paint a picture of just how you can solve all these problems, and then they tell you, bro, it's you. You are the problem. It's always been you. And so it opens up a new conversation of, so now, are you willing to get into a process of changing you so that you can run this type of business? So let's get into it. Your business is not your life. In this chapter, he says you want to know that your business is not your life, your business is your business. I thought that was very profound, because most of the, like, if you're going to be a technician, then your business is your life. But if your business is your business and your life is your life, if you lose your business, you lose your business. Your business is your business. So, and I started even seeing how attached I am to like this agency of mine. Like I feel like it's my baby. I wanna grow it and live with it for the rest of my life. But they say, man, it's your business is not your life. Your business is your business. So you need to create the very best system through which good attorneys and good physicians can be leveraged to produce exquisite results. All right. Um, Chapter 9. So it's your job, more accurately, the job of the business, to develop those tools and to teach people how to use them. Again, uh, you and your business are going to develop tools and then teach people how to use them. First of all, this is so profound for me. I may explain. So I have some credits for my management degree, and I have some credits, and they teach you a bunch of techniques, a bunch of management techniques, a bunch of tools that you could use. And then when you get into the world, we are supposed to be the one who like is going to decide which of these tools and techniques that I was taught could actually serve in this business. But what they don't tell you is that you also reserve 100% responsibility and right to tweak it for your use. I mean, it's just so easy for you to think that if this is how, or like we're told to like do organization design, this is how you do organization design according to the textbook. but you can develop more tools, you can add more tools in there, you can tweak it, you can even change the name, you can even call it something totally different. And it's such a powerful thing to think about. But the fundamental concepts are just business concepts. But you develop tools and you teach your people how to use them. Also, it's so interesting when you read like strategy books. And I guess strategy isn't so new or so different. But when you read books from different authors, you find they describe problems differently and they describe the solutions differently, but underlying is the same thing. So I think that's the same idea that you have liberty to name your problem and to name your solution, right? So that is the typical business, small business owner prefers management by abdication to management by delegation. This was the story I just said. Documentation provides the clarity structure needs if it is to be meaningful to your people. So here's just not only developing these tools and teaching them, but also documenting them that they need to exist. People need to know. All right, business, even a very small business like yours, is both an art and a science. Fascinating things to shock you and to bring you into the process of working. You need a process, a practice by which you obtain that information. Okay, and once obtained, a method with which to put that information to use in your business productively. Now, I also thought about this a lot, and I've been thinking about this. What you want in a business is to always be learning. So, for example, how I imagine this says that maybe you're going to be collecting research and you are going to be collecting information and you're going to be getting this information a certain type of way, maybe through books, maybe through seminars, maybe through research and development. And once you've obtained it, you need to get this information and embed it into your business productively. And that's the only way you can survive. And again, um, when you pause and think about even like a bank, like an insurance agent, insurance company, for example, you could totally see how this idea works. In the industry, they're constantly learning about the industry, they're constantly thinking about the industry, they're constantly upgrading their skills, and they're constantly deploying new information to businesses productively. But is this so interesting when you think about a creative shop? You don't think about these things as also like something that's supposed to be done. So it's, you know. So chapter 10, the business development process. So now we've moved from telling you that you need to start working on your business and not in it. And then he's going to teach you about the business development process. And I think in this place is where he talks about innovation, um, uh, orchestration. Well, orchestration is the last one. Quantification is the second one. So you have to innovate and then you have to measure and then you have to like make it a system. So I don't know if I ever captured that anywhere. We're going to find out. In this way, the business development process can be thought of as a metaphor for personal transformation, for coming to grips with real life, for developing real skills within a structure of your own design, for understanding the dynamics of change, of value, of communication, of thought. Man, just so it had this. I've been so motivated lately. Another side story to really just like learn. And I remember when I started getting into this journey of learning, of course, the next type of material around these books, the next type of material are those type of like um, like Jim Rohn, motivational type videos, 7 strategies for wealth and happiness, Brian Tracy's The Power of Self Confidence, um, The Rich Dad Poor Dad, um, Work the System, um, um, Built to Sell. So these are I'm saying these are business books, and when I got into this process, I immediately came into this bias that I got from social media that people who read this kind of books are actually so lame because they think they're so good. So yeah, actually they get like a bunch of red flags because these people, they like, I don't know. So a part of me believed that type of story, and a part of me thought, maybe, man, why am I going back to read and listen to this type of motivational type videos? How to manage your time, how to manage people, considered lame. But then this statement give me back the power to own that process, you know, to own personal transformation, to think about personal transformation, to think about time management, to think about self-discipline, to think about communications, to think about uh, all these other fundamentals of business that like work. So you need to understand these dynamics, man. And also, if you watch this and you've been thinking that it's actually lame to read those type of books, Seven Habits of Productive People, like those people are lame. I really just I'm here to encourage you that, man, you need now to drop everything other trash you've been consuming on the socials, because you've been a creative probably like I have been, and you've been watching and reading just like trash, and started getting into this type of personal transformation, motivation type videos, literature, books, sales, just those books that are considered creepy by the non creative crowd, by the creative crowd, the business developer. So, but with the process, with the continuous innovation and quantification that precedes the orchestration that follows it, with this continuous investigation into the way of work, the work itself become key to our own personal transformation. Imagine your life is going to change. Like in the process of you pursuing a business that works, your life is going to change because you're going to think about innovation. And as I talked about innovation somewhere, I don't know if I caught it, is that maybe it's somewhere down here, is that creativity thinks up new things, but innovation applies those new things. So you're going to be thinking about which other ways can I innovate in this business, in this industry, in this geography, and then you're going to quantify it. Then you're going to quantify it, and then you quantify it. You're going to know about the numbers. You're going to know about the market. You're going to pursue that, and then once you tweak those two areas based on the information, you're going to make it into your system. And if you do this work, man, your life will be transformed. I just love this idea, and I believe it. I really do believe it. And also I believe in the Lindy effect. This book is it's an old book, but these ideas, some of the top business people swear by the ideas in this book, and so I was like, why would I not? I believe the master, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that I believe is the heart of the process, not efficiency, not effectiveness, not more money, not to downsize or to get lean, but simply and finally create more life for everyone who comes into contact with the business, but most of all for you, the person who owns it. So therefore building a business is going to be a personal process of transformation. As long as you're going to be alive when you're in this process, your life is going to transform in such a major way. I think this is a very profound thing, man. I think it's a very profound thought, very encouraging thought for you to go start working on your business. So they go working on their lives, not just in their lives. And so here's a primary aim. Um, I don't know why I've skipped chapter 11, jumped to chapter 12. I don't know what chapter 11 was about. Maybe I've quoted it somewhere else. Your primary aim. And so it starts by telling you that you want to know your primary aim, and then chapter 13, your strategic objective. In fact, there's ultimately only one reason to create a business of your own, and that is to sell it, to do it, to finish it, and then to get paid for it. Remember the idea that a business is a product. Your business is your product. That's what you sell. So how you need to start thinking about a business as an entrepreneur, that the goal of your business is to create a business that works, powerful business that works, and then to sell it and get a bunch of money out of it. Right. Yeah, chapter 14, your organizational strategy. In this chapter, he tells a story of people who are making widgets. And eventually he said something that really caught me. He says, so as Murray goes to work on the position, in the position of salesperson as the salesperson, he goes to work on the position of the salesperson, all right, by implementing the business development process. So the business development process is innovation, quantification, and orchestration, right? But the idea here in the organizational strategy, we say that the first thing you need to do is to create an organizational chart such that you remove yourself from the business. Like you're just starting from the business, so you create your organizational chart. You say, okay, fine, this is a owner, and that under the owner, you're going to have like a bunch of um, um, I don't know, maybe shareholders, whatever, or maybe directors. And then under the directors, you're going to have managers. And under the manager, you're going to have someone who's in charge of maybe sales, maybe marketing, maybe production, and maybe customer fulfillment, maybe human resources and learning and all that. And you're going to like give this person roles and the things they're supposed to be doing the business, and they're going to do that. And he says, so as Murray goes to work in the position of the salesperson, so as they're doing the work of the salesperson, by doing sales, booking sessions, he also goes to work on the position of the salesperson, by writing what a salesperson is supposed to do every single day, um, how they're going to grow their position, just quantifying every single process on the salesperson. Once they're done, and that process and that position is ready, they give it away to someone else and they go to work on another area of the business. Um, so the business development process of innovation, quantification, and orchestration. I think I've said this like I've just sang this song. This made me think, man. Like it's so interesting our thoughts and the way our thoughts work. Like we are so okay with corporations. We are so okay with corporations working a certain type of way. We're so okay with corporations having departments, having different type of marketing. I mean, managers and executives, but we just don't see that for our small businesses, and I think it's just so wrong. And unless you come to this reality, and you accept this as reality, or you already thought about this reality from the word go, you'll never approach it like this ever. Right. um, Look at this. So now Jack and Murray have learned by experience an important lesson in developing their business, a lesson every technician suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure must learn if his business and life is to work in harmony. What was it? That- what was it? Okay, because it's critical if you are to begin your business all over again, that you're able to separate yourself from the roles you need to play to become independent of them, rather than these roles becoming dependent of you. This is so important, and I've thought about it so many times lately, because I'm in the process of also restarting my business, and I cannot just like fight the addiction of doing the work myself. I wanna do the work myself, man. Like I wanna so badly do the work myself. I want to still do the graphics. I wanna still do the pictures. I wanna still do the videos and all that. And so, man, it's so important that you separate yourself from the roles that you need to play, and you become independent of them. Okay, and that is what you need to think about, and that's how the stories you need to tell yourself in your head. Right. So the only way to eliminate the craziness is to organize yourself and the world around you as clearly as possible, so that you can function as clearly as possible. Now, why again is this statement so profound to me? I have lately thought about the importance of seeking clarity writing down everything that needs to be done. And in the first, like my wife was teasing me. I was sharing a lot of this information with her, notes from books, plans, tools like HR tools, and just like, as she was joking and saying to me, "Man, say you need to become a doctor because this is just so many words. You wrote all this." I'm like, "Yeah." So this is the vision and whatnot, and and a part of me, I think the creative part of me or the slacker part of me, feels like this is so much work. Like, man, why are you trying your best so much to organize the world around you? Like, are you like a control freak? Why do you need all that information? Why do you need all that information? But the only way to eliminate this craziness is to organize yourself and the world around you as clearly as possible. Man, this is a cosign that you need to be organizing. You need to be seeking clarity. You need to be getting reports. You need to be writing the reports. you know, you need to be writing the plans, the 5 year plans, the 2 year plans, the 30-day plans, and you need to be looking at it and just get organized and seeking the organized, like the idea of organization. So it's not crazy, you're not a control freak to pursue organization. That's the only way you're going to eliminate the craziness. And I know I have my own share of craziness, in my old business, man, the way I was running my old business, I was so frustrated with the way things are out of control, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna do nothing about this. But now that I know what I know, no. And the only way you can do that is intentionally and not automatically. All right. So here's another one. Management development, the process through which you create your management system and teach your up and coming managers to use it, isn't a management tool as many people believe it. It's a marketing tool. Yeah. So, but also you need to develop your management system. So, like, when I totally understand why this book would feel, um, why you'd feel overwhelmed getting started working through a book like this, because it recommends a lot of work. And I think if you don't have an idea of like the way businesses is run, because you're just a creative, or you're just a baker, or just a dancer, or you're just a street magician. If you don't take time to learn, because you're just going to need to learn about some of those things. You're going to learn about a management system, how does it work, how do people report to you, and I think it can feel overwhelming, because I felt overwhelmed the first time I read this book 2 years ago. I felt like, whoa, this book is tasking me to so much. It's tasking me to do so much that I wasn't ready to do. But I also don't have the money to hire someone else who's like really good at this already. And also the book suggests that if you do that, again, you're going to be disappointed. That if you run a business, then you just still need to know these things. It's like there's no option for you. There's no option for you. You're going to need to learn management. You're going to need to learn accounting. You just need to know. Can you believe that? And you're a creative, bro. You're just a makeup artist. So let's move on. An effective prototype is a business that finds and keeps customers profitably better than any other. All right. Look at this statement. Every single element was an orchestrated solution designed to produce a marketing result, an integrated component of the hotel's management system. But that also just shows you that people who, like this type of people who think like this when they go to start businesses, they don't start businesses the way other people start business. They just don't go and start offering creative services or like whatever. But they sit down and design. their business. They sit down and do the work. They sit down and create the business plan. They sit down and create the marketing plan. They sit down and create the accounting plan, the human resource plan. And I remember when I read this book, after some time, I started even wondering to myself, why don't I have a solid business plan, my system? I have read things on the internet about why you don't need a business plan, and I've believed them. I've believed, like, rip up your business plan. You don't need a business plan. The reason why you probably need a business plan is because you don't think like a businessman. You understand? So probably the people who rip up their business plan, they've been entrepreneurial from like the word go, and how their minds work is very different. And how they go hard for, like, they're looking for opportunities, they're going for them, but your mind has been working as a creative the whole time. You're not a business person. You get this crazy part. So that's why you need to go working on and learning about this business and just doing everything necessary. That's the only way you're going to reduce your chances of failure, if you have a plan that you follow. Because, like, you're not an entrepreneur like that. You're not an entrepreneur like that. I'm talking about myself, man. I'm talking about people like me. I'm talking about my friends. I'm talking about people who are still trying to do the art thing, and and also trying to do the creative business thing. That's why you need to do the thing. Write a business plan. Read about a business plan. Yeah. People strategy. So management strategy. People strategy is the next one. The least we should be able to do is to run a small business that works. For if we can't do that, then what's the value of our grand ideas? Yeah, man. Like what's the point of thinking about all these things if we can't run a small business that works? Like, what's the point if your business is not profitable? you know, like, really, what's the point? And yeah, man, that's a that's a tough question, right? Don't you think? All right, the people strategy. Look at this. The work we do is a reflection of who we are. If we are sloppy at it, it's because we are sloppy inside. If we are late at it, it's because we are late inside. If we are bored by it, it's because we are bored inside with ourselves, not with the work. The most menial work can be a piece of art when done by an artist. Man, I mean, look at this. Work is passive without you. You can't do anything. Work is only an idea before a person does it. But the moment a person does it, the impact of the work on the world becomes a reflection of that idea, the idea behind work, as well as the person doing it. So, what is your philosophy of work? What do you think about work? As an artist, as a photographer, what do you think about work? What's your value of work? How do you view work? Are you sloppy in your work? You know? And like, work is work, work is nothing. But work is only real if you attach a person to that work. And so that means work is an embodiment of who you are. This statement is so important for me because I'm just also coming into a season of life where work is so important to me. I am crazy fascinated of all those years of my life of just not appreciating the concept of work like I'm supposed to, you know and so I believe that work is so important, and you just need to appreciate work, and you need to work hard. And when you forget it and you find yourself slipping back to your old habits, you need to remind yourself that work is so important, and you need to do work. You need to work, and you need to just do good work. You need to work longer, you need to work harder, you need to come through as an A player, right? People strategy. Another one. And so I can see my business as a school about caring that teaches all the little things to my employees that my aunt tried so hard to teach me. Well, so I also think this new way about my business, that my business is also like a school, and I want when people come, they're going to learn. In fact, this morning during the day, I was reflecting, one of the questions I could ask people who work for me is, what did you learn today? What did you learn this week? How can you use what you learned next week? And so it's very important that people are learning, people are growing, and because that energy will make the business better because they're learning about the marketplace and they're getting smarter. Here was about marketing. I remember this. So the famous dictum that says find a need and fill it is inaccurate. You should say find a perceived need and fill it because you really don't know. Like you're guessing. It's so good to read this to know that business people are guessers. All right. So your marketing strategy starts and lives and dies with your customer. And what your customer wants is probably significantly different from what you think he wants. Man, this is true. I think client wants fascinating graphics, cool colors, funky new techniques that are trendy, but a customer in creative services probably just wants to make more sales. Who wants to have a presence online, and that's it. Or just wants to be found. And you think differently, so you need to find out what your customer wants. Oh, this is another one. So with this, I think he did a very good job in teaching basic marketing principles, and it will be prudent for people to really know how to do it. So inquiry, the active solicitation of specific information and control experimentation, replace the guessing, blind hope, and feverish busy work that preceded them. So in marketing, you're going to solicit specific information and you're going to measure it. And then you're going to act on the thing that you've measured. Not blind hope, man, not just busy work. So that means also the way you're going to approach marketing is very, very different. It's data driven. You go with what the market wants, you go with what the customer says they like, and you do that. Okay. And how do you answer that question? You ask them. All right. What do you want? You ask them. How do you like it? You ask them. How do you find them? Those people you have not yet met, you buy a list. Okay. And that's why I keep going on back to the true work of the small business owner, the strategic work rather than the tactical work. Right. And that's why the business process of lead generation, lead conversion, and client fulfillment is so critical to the growth of your business. And that's what marketing is, the whole process, not just part of the entire thing. You generate leads, you convert them, and you fulfill. It's fascinating. Fascinating fundamentals of marketing. Given in this book, I know a little bit about marketing, but I don't even do these things in my business. Like, I am so, or rather, I was so concerned with just like the process of um, doing creative work that I wasn't trying to find new leads and converting them. So that's crazy. And so your systems strategy, it talks about hard systems, soft systems, and information systems. Things, actions, ideas, information. And a system is a set of things, actions, ideas, and information that interact with each other and in so doing alter other systems. Your system strategy, the purpose of an appointment presentation is one thing and one thing only, to make an appointment. Structure and substance. Structure is what you do, substance is how you do it. Alright, so let's just highlight that. Yes, so that to approach any part of your business as though it was separate from all the rest would be lunacy, because everything in your business affects everything else in your business. Like everything affects everything, so everything affects everything. And freedom does not come automatically, man. Freedom is achieved. It is not gained a single bound. It must be achieved every day. And even today, I had Brian Tracy say um, I had Brian Tracy say in a video that like you don't become successful uh, the idea was you become successful as a series of successful days. So if you become successful many days in a row, the result out of that is that you will achieve success. So, you know, to achieve this freedom, you have to go at it every single day. So it's an invitation every single day to go after this freedom, to try and get this freedom. Every single day, we should remind ourselves we are pursuing this freedom in our lives, right? So you should know that a man of knowledge lives by acting, not by thinking about acting, not by thinking about how he will think when he's finished acting. A man of knowledge chooses a path with heart and follows it. That was such a fascinating thing. You have to live by acting. So now that you have this knowledge, man, you need to act on it. You need to act on it and to pursue it. I'm so excited to read this book. I wish I should have read it earlier, and it's quite interesting to me why, like how I'm coming into some of this information later on in life, like after knowing very well that I want to get into business, but then just not having this information earlier. Like I honestly feel like 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 if I got this information earlier, I'd probably be somewhere different in life. But who knows, huh? Who really knows? So I'm so excited just to pursue this one more time and to keep going at these things. Um, I know it's going to be an incredible process. I might come back and review this book later on again with new thoughts. But I was excited. Let's wait for the next book that I will review. And that was fun. That was so much fun.